Hey, friends, thanks for tuning in to yet another exciting episode of Friends of the Squared Circle. I'm your host, Crander Q, a.k.a. my real name, the number one beard in wrestling podcast. That's a self-proclaimed title, Joe Monroe, and I'm going to hold on to it. As you can see, we have Zach and Christian joining us today on our episode. If you want to be just like them and be featured on a next episode, hit us up on Facebook, send us a message today, and say that you want to be on an episode, and you can be a star like Zach and Christian. Zach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I don't know if we're stars yet, but we're working on it.
Well, by the time this comes out, you might be a superstar, and then I'm going to have to pay you royalties for just being on this show. So
maybe. Who knows?
How about you, Christian? How's your day going today?
Oh, man, it's a beautiful Sunday. Everything's going great. Yeah.
Perfect. Now, we are here to talk about wrestling fandom. We're going to dive into that. You guys have some big project news outside of this place, so we're going to dive into it here first. Zach, what are your first wrestling memories that you can remember?
The one I always remember is really when my dad took me to a Raw episode.
Okay.
The only thing I remember from it is me closing my eyes and Jerry Lawler's bringing out his puppies, which is the bikini ladies. That's the one thing I remember. The first thing I always remember about wrestling. I don't know why, but I really took a time off from wrestling, and then AEW came around, and then I got really big back into it again. So, but yeah, the going to Raw and seeing the bikini girls and me just
the puppies. You can say the puppies.
I didn't want to see the puppies then, and now I'm thinking, why do I cover my eyes now?
Rookie mistake. How about you, Christian? What are those first earliest wrestling memories that you can think of?
Yeah, I actually got into wrestling later in the game. I grew up really into like slapstick comedy, Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, Ernest P. Worrell. So I had that idea there that I really liked, kind of comedy, violence, stuff like that. And it wasn't until probably a few years ago when wrestling sort of entered my life. Zach was a big part of that, where he was doing backyard wrestling, and they kind of needed. Yeah, he had a company with a couple guys. I think it was IBW in Lagodi, Indiana. And I was in the film scene, and we just kind of meshed together. And now wrestling to me is sort of a philosophy on life. Like you can identify a lot of things through the tactics of wrestling, like the turning the dial up to 10, the energy. It's just you never really know what's going to happen, and it's like this philosophy that I've really picked up on. And that's why Whoop Ass, which is our feature film we're trying to put together, came to be, because we were sort of at a time in our lives. I don't know necessarily, I can't speak for Zach, but I know I was doing a lot of different things and content creation. It just wasn't coming together, and wrestling has been sort of the outlet through a film to put on something awesome and change our lives in a way.
And it always brings me personally, I don't know about you guys, back to those early memories of being a child, being lost into it. Same with film. Like, I love movies and wrestling for that reason. Is for that short time or whatever I'm there, I just forget everything else. Everything else is noise, I'm not worried about finances. I'm not worried about, stress at work. I'm there watching something that I love and diving into this story that is in front of me, and then just having that stress relief, especially when it comes to film. Like, that's one thing I do love about movies is, okay, the story's done, but where can they take it next? So that gets my imagination going and helping me after the movies or TV shows, like, to forget everything and help try to think, oh, well, how would a sequel work? Or what would the next match be like? It kind of helps me continue when I leave the theater or watching the wrestling, So that's what I like about both, so.
Yeah, it can, a lot of people might say it can be an escape, kind of like
Mhm.
fantasy or anything like that,
Yep.
like to escape into something. But at the same time, like for instance, yesterday Zach and I we went to a 0-1 show, and when you're in the crowd, you're a part of something.
Mhm.
Like, and that's wrestling. Like, no matter who you are, you're a part of something. Eyes can go on you. You can
Yep.
you can heckle the guy in the ring. He'll turn to you and he'll be like, "Shut up, shut your mouth, fat boy," or something like.
Jeez, body
And
shaming. Just kidding.
well, that's what happened last night. Like some guy was like heckling this dude, and he body shamed him, sure, but
We took it.
I just
like that's something cool about it. Is like you're really a part of something.
I get very offended when they tell me my beard's stupid, and then they have nothing on their face. I'm just like, well, at least I can grow one.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the only attribute in the lifestyle of me, Crander Q, that I can put to a max of 10. The rest are like 3 and lower. So luckily the beard, I keep adding attribute points to that. So, but in those early days, Zach, who were some of the first like wrestlers or, as I say, characters, gimmicks? What stood out? Like, was there anybody that was like a early favorite for you?
The guy that I normally remember first off was Batista.
Okay.
I had a Batista figure. I think I probably still have it. It might be in the crowd somewhere. But that was like one of my first figures ever was a Batista figure. I don't know why. It just stuck to me. He was, freaking Batista, man. Just Batista bomb, his size. Just, I don't know. That was one of my first favorite guys. But as I got older, guys like a Chris Jericho, who is my GOAT. A lot of people might not think Chris Jericho's the GOAT, but he's my GOAT. Guys like Kenny Omega, those guys that can just do it all, really, or what I follow more into. I like a lot more. But
how about for you, Christian? Who stood out right there in the beginning?
In the beginning, so probably before I started getting into wrestling, I actually, again, going back to like those films I grew up on, Mr. Nanny, so Hulk Hogan, like
those are some treasure classics right there. Yep.
Yeah, but once I started getting like watching WWE and all that, I was kind of into Braun Strowman, guys like that, like guys that were huge. I don't know why. It just like was cool to me. And yeah, like people like all the movie star wrestlers. You got John Cena, Batista.
Yep. So now to put you on the spot, you're comparing film and wrestling here. Who's one of your top wrestlers that is in film? I'm going to go hands down. I've been loving Batista. I am pretty biased because Guardian of the Galaxy is one of my favorite franchises. But for me, it's Batista. He has a little bit more range, I feel, than The Rock. Rock's a mega movie star, don't get me wrong, but it's always the same character. It's usually a white T-shirt and some khaki pants, and he's running down some bad guy. John Cena is a close second with Batista with his range and his comedic stuff. But who for you guys is like your top stars in movies?
Are we talking now, or are we talking just
anything that you are proud to brag about? I mean, you are the star of the show. I just have the logo and my face on it, so whatever you like is the right answer. So
yeah,
unless you say The Rock, then I'm going to challenge you because I just said The Rock's not that good. Just kidding.
Rodney Piper, probably.
Okay,
when he was John Carpenter's They Live. I mean, that's like
it's called classic.
You can't beat it.
Yep. My buddy who doesn't really watch a lot of wrestling, he'll watch my podcast, he'll critique it. He was just excited because he had that movie like on VHS back in the day, and he just found it in the dump bin with Blu-ray, and he's all like, "Oh, have to buy that because it's so great." Oh yeah, and Piper's in it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's for guys like right now. You're right, Batista, the Rock, John Cena. I think your list right there with Batista and John Cena second is perfect. But guys, we're looking to kind of get into our film. We're looking at Hulk Hogan, obviously. Who wouldn't want Hulk Hogan in their film?
Right.
Even smaller guys out
Brother.
there,
Yeah. Yep.
like a indie guy like a Jake Parnell, Warhorse maybe.
Right.
Some
Warhorse.
guys that are really
Yeah.
not well known, but really have that great. We think we see a lot of great acting potential in them. We did our short film. We had Shank Barzini, who's a local guy here, kind of local to us. He's up north, Indiana, but he did a great job in the main role.
Nice.
Yeah.
But obviously, we want to look for a bigger star. That's nothing bad to Shank. He was great, but we want to get a mixture of.
Yeah, I mean, you got to sell the tickets. It's just like with wrestling. You got to have that name on the poster. You can't just, bank on who you like sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with the actor / wrestler Luke Hawk. He has done a lot of stunt work in Hollywood. So just to break it down, I'm a huge Luke Hawk fan, just because I've met him 1,000 times. So have you seen The Young Rock? He plays Stone Cold in The Young Rock. He is also in Fast and the Furious. There's the scene where they have the jail fight where Jason Statham and The Rock are trying to get at each other. And then there's the bald guy that comes out and challenges The Rock. And he's like, I've been waiting a long time for this. And then The Rock basically just stabs him, throws him over the thing. And he's like, keep waiting, bitch. He was also in Wolverine, Logan, I should say. The scene where Logan puts the claws through his head in the hotel. It's like the main image used for a lot of their marketing and their clickbait. So if you ever go back and check out Luke Hawk, he's done a lot of acting and stunt work. Great guy. He's from New Orleans. And with his accent, it's just so funny to see because it doesn't match his physique because he has huge effing arms. You'll see that when I'll send it to you. But yeah, Luke Hawk is somebody you guys should definitely look into for acting. Or in your movie, he's a great dude. So,
yeah, I should also mention. I didn't think about this before, but recently, I think his name's Paul Hauser. Just got into wrestling. He was in Karate Kid. Blackbird. Like he's got a serious dramatic range. Is that his name, Zach? Do you know who I'm talking about?
I think that's.
A bigger guy
or something.
Do what?
It's like Paul Hauser, I think.
Paul Hauser, yeah.
Okay.
He played a serial killer in an Apple TV show, like
nice,
an Indiana-based serial killer from like the 80s or something.
Yeah, really?
So,
okay.
Yeah, so he's like very dramatic actor.
Nice. You'll have to send that my way here, Zach. Another guy too, like Kane. I thought he was really good when he did those horror movies. Stone Cold, he did very well for those low budget films. I'm not saying he's like a great actor, like in that category, but The Condemned is a really good movie. And then there's can't remember the movie, The Hunt that he was in. I thought that was very well done, kind of dark and gritty. And honestly, if we're talking about The Rock, my favorite Rock movie is, I believe it's called Faster. He doesn't talk. He just kicks ass, looks menacing, and that's the movie. I mean, it's no disrespect for him not talking, but he was able to deliver by not saying anything. And now he's got some Christmas movie coming out with Chris Evans. There's monsters, and he's protecting Santa Claus. And it's just like, this is the weirdest Fast and the Furious spinoff I've ever seen. And shout out to whoever commented that on my page. I'm stealing that. That is not my own thing, but I just had to say that. But what about with TV? Is there anybody or any shows that you think you could incorporate wrestling into a TV show? I know we've had Heels, we've had Tough Enough. Or do you think that's something that, the main stream on? I mean, Total Divas doesn't count. That's all, scripted fake reality. But, is there any way you guys can see TV, capitalizing on the wrestling boom right now?
That's a really good question. I mean, Hills, I loved that show. The way they ended it, hopefully I've seen talks that they're bringing it to Netflix.
Okay.
For the new season. I think there's a lot of possibilities there. Like the Hills show on Stars, I watched it all. It's great. I loved it. I think it could. It's really hard to say because that one got canceled, and
Mhm.
so
I mean, Stars is a lower end of those streaming, so maybe that could be a reason. With Raw coming to Netflix soon, maybe that would hype the heels on there. I mean, sometimes it's just channel time slot. As Zach learned today, I don't know how to tell time. But you know, I don't know if you guys remember Wild and Crazy Kids, where they just had a bunch of kids competing. It was in the '90s. Nickelodeon, Double Dare, stuff like that. I think would be kind of fun because you know WWE's catering to kids to have them out there doing these sports against kids. You know, like when the strongmen used to pull the 500 kids into mud. I thought that was hilarious. You know, when I was little, but just to see those wrestlers be real people and spend time with the community would be kind of fun. But how about you, Christian? Before I get rattling off here.
Yeah, I mean, I I don't know the answer. I think like a lot of we've talked to a lot of people on our podcast
Mhm.
how they've kind of said that wrestling's entering this period of like saturation, or it's going back to the old way, and where everybody's doing the same thing, they're doing the same matches. It's all on Instagram, all
Mhm.
you can find it everywhere,
Yep.
and there's probably a strong need to expand wrestling into more cinematic experiences, sort of like what we're trying to do here. Our target isn't TV, but we're
Mhm.
trying to do a film. But
Yep.
I don't see any reason why TV shows couldn't uh, pop up, even if it's like a high school drama. There could be just a character that he's doing backyard wrestling. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
it's a very relatable thing, and there's a lot of people that really love it. So maybe that's the ticket to eliminate this saturation and expand wrestling beyond its current scope.
Yeah, definitely. You bring up those. I'm gonna stutter it. Cinematic wrestling. Um, in the beginning, I didn't really understand it or kind of know what was happening, but it is intriguing. It's that movie within the show. It's something different. I thought what Jeff Hardy was doing there in TNA when he first started doing the delete and the obsolete stuff there, I thought that was very cool, very creative, something different. And then obviously we saw WWE copy it and not do as well during those pandemic times. But like you said, that would be something different to keep um, um, man, I just lost my whole train there.
To
Keep the
expand.
viewers engaged because
Yeah.
they always say wrestling has different niches for everyone, and I think that'd be great. What's wrong with doing a match or two like that? Doesn't have to be every week, but something to look forward to, like Bray Wyatt and the Funhouse. That was that old school type of promo where it was just kind of separated from the wrestling, and that's one thing I remember as a kid, just watching Andre and Hulk arguing about being teammates, and he rips off the necklace of Hulk Hogan, and you're like, oh my gosh, he and Hulk aren't friends anymore. And it took away from the wrestling, so you could continue to believe those stories and those angles for sure. So, but let's drop the name of that podcast, and then Zach, I'll have you start off kind of about it, and then Christian, I want you to kind of add in there too, obviously. But for you, Zach, how did it all kind of get started?
The podcast, it's the Whoop Ass podcast, just really simple because we're all whoop ass here. It really started this year. We started talking in December about this film, and I can't remember if it was me or Christian that mentioned we should start a podcast. But I knew a few local guys I knew we could talk to kind of help get a following. The podcast really just to help us build a name, build a brand, really get us some people to look on us, and it's really just a big promoting to help with the film, I think. But it all really just started this year. I think it was in February or January where we interviewed like 5 people in like 2 weeks or something like that, just get as much content as possible.
Right.
Which we did that again this month, just so we have some content when we start our crowdfunding push. But yeah, it's just interviewing wrestlers. Like, I know you do a lot of different other interviews with fans and all that kind of stuff. But right now ours has been local guys. But
that's awesome though, because you're building a brand, they're building a brand. Right. And kind of like I told you off camera, my plans and the using of you to get that small little goal. And, it's great. Plus you got to talk to some of the local talent that you probably want to be like, well, I want to talk to them on a personal level. I don't just want to like get an autograph and walk away. I want to sit and bug them. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, for me, the podcast, there was always a level of building the brand. But I think we also kind of started it to pay our dues, to be involved in the community, to talk to these guys one-on-one and girls, just people in the wrestling scene. Because we realize, hey, we want to make a movie, but we're kind of not really coming at this with anybody on our plate or any experience or anything other than like what we did way back in the backyard and as fans. And we interviewed, like Zach said, 5 or 6 people in February, and that was kind of like, we didn't get like 1 million followers, but we gained like success in the sense that like we wanted to build contacts, and those people ended up showing up to help us film our proof of concept. So, it's little successes, but it's like we did exactly what we're setting out to do. We built those contacts. We ended up getting Ken Anderson, Mr. Kennedy, Hollywood Haley J.
Oh, nice. That's a big one right now. Yep.
Yeah. Black Dahlia, Evil Nate Hewitt, the Killbilly, Clayton Clark. Shout out to all these people. Yeah. They're amazing, like incredibly hardworking people. They show up, they do the work, they don't complain. They're there to do it, and very good people.
I mean, I don't mean to interject my own personal feelings here, but Ken Anderson and I kind of have a rivalry here. He's a Wisconsin boy. Okay, excuse me. He moved to Minnesota. Sell out. Wisconsin's the best state. I don't care what you guys say. Otherwise, get off my show. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I'll have to send you the TikTok later of me. For like a whole summer, I went to a bunch of shows that he was on, and here I am with my signs just being an obnoxious little ass. I've met him, I don't even know how many times. He's a good dude, but I like to pretend that like him and I got beef, even though he'd probably smack me around like a small child and be like, get out of my face, kid. But yeah, that's great. And the nice thing about working with wrestlers or people in the wrestling business, or even just being around it, you learn from it. How many times have you heard or read in biographies that, sitting in the car with the Nature Boy, I learned so much, or traveling with the one and only Dusty Rhodes, just working a vendor table and watching Teddy Long critique everyone around me was influential in how I run my tables. Like, he's critiquing a wrestler like, why are you not in your gimmick, but you're in your sweats? I'm just throwing it out there. This guy's a wrestling ninja, so that way, he doesn't hear, if he ever watches, he's probably not watching my stuff. But like, the guy is portraying a ninja, again, just pretending here. Don't worry, folks, it's not a real thing. And then he's just out there in sweats and a tank top. It's like, you're selling 8x10s of what you do, But then when you take pictures with fans, they're like, "Who's the gym bum?" You know what I mean? It's that perception. So when I have my table, the tape has to be nice. The Sharpies have to be in one spot. It's got to be organized because I want to look professional. If you come up to, my table and it's just a mess, be like, well, who the hell's this guy? Oh, hi, nice to meet you. That's your first perception of me is my table's a mess. So you probably think my whole thing's a mess. And then this is a question I use for people. Would you rather, have the plumber with the nice truck, and helping you, or are you going to call the guy that's got a broken down truck that ain't going to get to the job site? You know what I mean? You're going to go off that perception of, oh, that guy's got a nice truck. He's obviously very successful. I want him. Now, the other guy could be a very good plumber. I know, but you're going off of that visual. You know what I mean? So just like when, the girls come up to you, they're like, oh, he's got a messy shirt on. I ain't calling this guy back. That's never happened, folks. I spelled ketchup, but whatever. Just kidding. But let's jump into that movie here. Let's promote that. Keep dropping those podcasts. Keep dropping those names. This is your chance to break, guys. Zach, tell us a little bit about that movie.
Well, the big thing about the movie, our main goal is to cast professional wrestlers. In the proof, Elijah mentioned a lot of names who were in it, like Evil Nate, Dahlia, Clayton Clark. Some of them have acting backgrounds. I mean, wrestling is just one giant, big acting performance, really. So people, like when we talked to Ken, he was in his big movie, $10 million production thing.
Yep.
And they really didn't take him seriously. Some people didn't take him really seriously because he's a wrestler. But he's had 5 years on SmackDown. That's been on TV every single day. He has this experience on film. So these guys, a lot of them have been on film. A lot of the indie guys are they don't have as much experience, but they're in front of a camera. Some of them know how to act. So getting wrestlers in this, just having little cameos of big time guys in this film would be really cool. Right now we're working on building a crowdfunding and a proof. We did our proof. We're working on a pitch deck, which will kind of help us pitch to other people. So, but the film's really this bum, just no life, who's hit the bottom of the barrel. His dad is a local legend who left him, and he's just really sad and all this crap. And once he hit the bottom of the barrel, he realizes he should chase his dream, not because of his dad, because he wants to be a wrestler. So he meets a lady, he meets some kids, some local kids, and that's the only guy he knows, this local kid, goes to him and asks him for training. It's a comedy action, so it's gonna be great. I think we got a script going.
It's awesome.
It's pretty much done. We just gotta do some fine editing and all that. But he gets training by a kid, ends up finally getting training by the actual local company, which is gonna be the Whoop Ass company, unless we get like an OVW or Impact involved. We'll use their name or something. But that's some future plans where we want to reach out to those guys.
I like the other name better that you got.
Yeah. If they'll do it for free just to have their name in the movie, then we have to do it. But it would be nice to do Bass Wrestling. But yeah, the main guy will get into wrestling, but his dad was in some debts with some local crime guys, kind of a mob boss type deal. So his dad gives him his debt. He's in his dad's debt now.
Oh,
so he has to pay those off. And now he's doing wrestling, and he's got to do these jobs for the crime boss, and it's just a real shambles of stuff in his life as he's trying to be a wrestler and all that. I might have gave too much, but we're kind of trying to promote it so people come watch it. But
definitely, yeah.
But yeah, maybe he'll prevail in the end, or maybe the crime bosses will take over, but you'll have to see the movie to find out. But yeah, I think we got a pretty good idea going.
How about for you, Christian? What's the movie mean for you? Like you said, you're more into film stuff. You want to kind of explain your take on the movie?
Yeah, I mean, on a story level, like all stories, it's probably an amalgamation of things you've already seen. You've got some of our references is Harmony Korine's Gummo. We got David Fincher's Fight Club, Nacho Libre.
It's a great movie. I don't care what anybody says. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, on that story level, it's things you've probably seen, but to me, it's like where we're really firing on all cylinders is our concept. We want to make a movie about wrestling and hire all wrestlers, whether they're in the local scene or like high pro levels. It doesn't matter. Like, that's our concept. And on a thematic level, it's about overcoming poverty. It's about living in a nation that's currently like suffering financially and finding your way out, finding your way through to your passions, despite like these boundaries that are forming in this character's way. He's got all his life, he's had a financial boundary. He's always had a childhood trauma boundary where, his father left him. So he's operating on a level where, most of the things he's been doing is because he never received that love from his father. So he does things to receive that love, but it doesn't work out for him in the end. Like, he has to transmute that trauma into something else, and that is wrestling for himself, not for his father. And stuff goes wild with the Quentin Tarantino type crime elements and stuff like that. But
yeah, I like it.
I think, it's a pretty wild comedy. We've got a lot of like very comedic things, but there's also that deeper level, that deeper meaning, as everything should. But the reason we have like some extreme comedy, some extreme drama, which is what we're trying to push, is because that is wrestling. You've got
a roller coaster. Yep.
Yeah. So it's an event. That's what we're kind of putting on with the script, is you've got those moments of like laugh out loud, but then you've also got that gut-wrenching impact there where, you didn't see that coming. Something came out of left field. Somebody stormed the ring and stole the belt from him. Like,
awesome.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what you guys do. Give me the links and stuff when you guys do get that Kickstarter and stuff going. I want to help promote it. I know I'm still small time. I got a lot of friends, pun intended. This is Friends of the Squared Circle. And let's just, let's keep promoting it. Hit me up, blow up the DMs there, Zach. Be like, hey, can you throw this up today? Something new comes up. Again, type it up. I'll definitely share it on our page. So here comes the hard-hitting questions, folks, because I'm such a, great interview and host here. Zach, I want to have you give me 3 people that you would love to cast in the movie. Let's add 1 female, so let's make 4, I guess. Just dream casting. I'm going to give you mine quick just because you had brought up, the old movies. It would be great, for Jack Black, because he was in Nacho Libre, to play like a bum or, just kind of being that small cameo. Got to have Jack Black. He's my spirit animal. I feel like Jimmy Hart would be another one for that comedic relief. But in all seriousness, a Luke Hawk. And then I'm going to go Seth Rollins. I love Seth Rollins as a wrestler. He reminds me of that Joker-esque ever since I saw that thing that he did for, I believe it was WrestleMania or SummerSlam. But those are my 4. 3. Seth Rollins, Luke. I did 4. I got to do a female. You know what? Give me Max the Impaler. Again, scary lady. She goes by they, them, sorry. But she would be definitely, excuse me, I did it again, they, them, someone that would be very intimidating on screen. But how about for you, Zach? Who would you cast in the movie? 3 males and a female. I messed it up, but it's my show. You can all yell at me later.
You did, man. I've been making a list of people I want to cast. I have a whole file of it. You stole one of mine. Seth Rollins would be absolutely dream cast there for the role maybe. But obviously WWE has its deals.
Yeah.
It won't happen unless we get WWE involved. But realistically, guys like a RVD or Jeff Hardy could play that main role.
RVD. Sneak attack. All right.
Parnell for like a little. He's the perfect look. But for other guys, an Undertaker, Hulk Hogan would be nice as well. We have some ideas for them to play roles. Female roles, our biggest one is to get Ronda Rousey. We have a certain role for her.
Okay.
Just beat the shit out of people just to do what she did.
I liked her in the Fast and the Furious. I like her. Granted, she said some shit about wrestling, but she's selling a book, folks. I mean, I see the reason why she's saying a lot of shit, but I think she's great, in ring and octagon, but go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, that's a lot of the dream ones for me. I might have just stole all Christian's answers, but maybe you can have some.
Yeah, I mean, we Zach and I, since we're also producing this movie right now, we talk a lot behind the scenes of, who can we get? Who do we dream of being in this thing? And he's kind of said it. My biggest dream of someone to be in this film is probably, we have a 10-second spot in the film that's like 10 seconds. I want John Cena to play a role. If we can get him for one day, like whatever it costs, for one day, for 10 seconds in the movie, it's a hilarious scene. You'll have to see it one day when it comes out. But
I already told Zach I'm gonna be using him, for some other things that I'll tell you off camera here. But yeah,
yeah, that's
we just became best friends, just like that.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I also should mention, like, we've casted Hollywood Haley J and Ken Anderson, and to be honest, like, those two people are part of that dream. Like, I couldn't see anyone else playing the role Haley is, and I couldn't see the whoop-ass movie not being made without Ken Anderson in it. So I've got to put those people over and say, like, they're part of that dream as well.
Right.
It's very awesome. Yeah. Ken's a good dude. Like I said, he's got a local scene here, local promotion. He was champ for a while. He's got the academy down there in Minneapolis. A lot of guys and gals came out of there as well. So directing wise, Zach, are you guys directing it, or do you have a director in mind? Or again, dream scenario. I mean, this is your project. What would you like to see directing wise?
Christian here would be more the director. I'm more the producer here, but for my point, I would love to be a part of it, being out there directing it with Christian a little bit. I mean, more of the producer role. He'll be leading, but fantasy wise, getting a guy from the A24 films, whoever directed those, I'm sure Christian knows more names based because he's more in the film guy, but the A24, the Hills guy, whoever directed not Hills, Iron Claw, whoever directed Iron Claw would be perfect. Whoever directed The Wrestler, I know that guy.
That's a good movie, yeah.
That was like one of his first films, and it was that successful. Having him come on would be really helpful as well. But yeah, that's really some of mine. Other than doing it ourselves, getting some other big name wrestling movie directors. Also, before Christian goes, I want to shout out David Vox-Mullen as well. He's a comedy guy over in Chicago. He'll be a big part of this as well. You mentioned the cameo, John Cena. I also wanted to mention we really want to have Nick Gage do a cameo in the movie as well. It's honestly kind of hilarious. Maybe we'll tell you off recording, but
Ooh, spoilers, folks, in your face. Sorry.
but we'll have Christian give his point on the directing.
Yeah, I mean, I've taken the lead in writing the movie. Zach and I, we came up with the story. He has built a lot of the matches and stuff, and I ended up writing the script based off all our stories and everything. And one of the things I want in my own life is to be a writer director.
Very
So
cool.
I've seen myself doing the work to direct this film, but at the same time, you know, creative projects and real masterpieces, there's at a certain point, if you have to take your ego out of the mix and hand it over to somebody better than you, bigger than you, for the sake of the project, I mean, I would end up doing that just because I want to see the project flourish.
Yeah.
Dream directors, I really only have one, and I don't know if anyone really knows him. Harmony Korine.
Okay.
He directed The Beach Bum, Spring Breakers. He directed Gummo. He's a real like art house director that, you know, he would take the theme of poverty and really, really run with it.
Very nice.
And make it, you know, noticeably like chilling to the viewer. I guess if I could say anyone else, you know, you got David Fincher, Fight Club director. That would be really cool. But on a crew level, director, producer, all that, like it's kind of just us, and that's really cool. We obviously want to get companies on board. It'd be awesome to get OVW on board.
Right. Give
awesome.
them a little bit of rub. They give you a rub. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Al would probably love it.
Get
you know, he does acting, so yeah.
Yeah. But that it would be nice to like keep it in the wrestling scene as well. You know, if we had to get a director that was a wrestler or a producer that was a wrestler, like keep this in the wrestling community with the intentions to expand it outward into like everyday watchers that never would have thought they cared about wrestling to come see the movie on Netflix, Hulu, it doesn't matter. And then that continued watching tab to go straight to Monday Night Raw or something.
Yeah. And just think of like, you know, not I know you like Jericho and stuff, but like to be sitting under those learning trees. I know that's his new thing he's doing. You know, like you said, setting your ego aside to let someone who's a little bit more accomplished or more, you know, experienced to come in, but just getting to sit there and soak that up, like me watching and listening to Teddy Long at just a vendor table, you know, getting that knowledge, because when you do the sequel and the trilogy and stuff, you have these tools in your arsenal, which is great because you're constantly learning. I'm excited for you guys. You know, it's, you know, I always love watching friends and people achieve their goals. You know what I mean? Like when you start rolling this out, I'm dead serious. Send it to me, blow up my inbox. I'll share it. I want to see you guys succeed. You know, for me personally, when it comes to movies, I always thought it'd be kind of fun just to sit on a set and see how it's done. Now, I don't have a face for movies or YouTube, but I have a, you know, voice for radio or face for radio. Excuse me, not a voice for radio, just a face. But it would just be fun to see that process unfold, because I always hear they do multiple takes, multiple angles, you know, just to see how it sets up, and then go to that next step where they're editing. Like, what are they seeing that I'm not seeing? You know, who's the guy that's making sure that The blood on their left cheek is there for every scene. That'd be so fun for me. Where I would geek out, whereas everybody else would be like, oh, it's Sylvester Stallone, it's Kate Blanchett. No, I just want to see how the movie's made. So another hard hitting question for you. We'll keep it to 3 here to keep it easy since we're rolling along. Zach, when it comes to movies, this can be any genre, any films. What are your 3 go-to movies?
Oh, my 3 go-to. Like my 3 favorite movies of all time, or
yeah, I mean any movies that you just throw on that you absolutely love. Since we're on the topic of film,
a movie I've probably seen 1,000,000 times is Forrest Gump.
Okay.
That's kind of similar to our movies. There's so many different aspects in that movie, from him being this dumb kid to this superstar football player to it's just crazy all over his whole life.
Yep.
Kind of
and how he's put in all those pieces of time, or moments of time,
Remember the Titans is another movie I've seen 1,000,000 times. I always
Okay.
Like, if I have nothing else to do, if there's nothing else that looks good, those 2 movies are something I could just put on and I'll enjoy it. And third, I don't know, the Marvel movies. I love any Marvel movies.
Okay, that's fair. You can use that whole cinematic universe.
All those together.
Yep.
I do want to mention if people who've seen our podcast, who's going to watch it once we get these videos up, we've had one episode where I said I didn't see Fight Club. It was a whole thing. You'll have to watch it. I think it was Wes Pinkley. Shank Marzini's episode. It was a whole thing. I got ripped to shreds. I have watched that, so I have seen that.
You've heard it here first, folks. How about the Goonies? Have you seen the Goonies?
Oh yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I've seen a lot of stuff, but when I was talking to Christian, or if I'm talking to Wes, who is Shank Barzini, or Ken, I'm like, I've seen all these movies, and they're talking about this movie I've never heard of, and I'm like, what the hell do I know now? So I think Christian's got a better answer for you here. So,
all right, Christian, how about for you? Top 3 movies that you just absolutely love.
That I absolutely love. Yeah, as you said, this is a hard-hitting question. Simply, I mean, because I have a filmmaking background, I think so. I've got all these movies I go to, but I guess on a deeper level, like on an emotional level, a film that has left an impact with me is Stand By Me. It's a Rob Reiner film based off a Stephen King short story called The Long Walk, I believe, or The Body. Had River Phoenix in it, all these 80s characters that were also in the Goonies.
Corey Feldman, the one that's married to, I think, the girl that played Mystique. Yeah. Jerry O'Connell, right? Or was it his brother? Yeah. Okay.
But that film, probably growing up, like, had an extreme emotional impact on me in the sense of, like, it's the coming of age, and it's just a story I would want to tell. On a visual level, like in filmmaking, a film that I really love is 12 Monkeys. Terry Gilliam made that. I just love the grime of it. I love the way the lenses are distorted, and he also made stuff like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Brazil. It's just a really visually stunning film. And then some films I love to go to are also some James Dean movies. He's a local Indiana legend. So I really love the East of Eden, Giant, Rebel Without a Cause. Those like old timey movies like that. But I don't know. I love movies, and I'm not necessarily. Yeah, I don't stick to one genre. If it's good, it's good.
Right.
If it's you got some good comedies, you got some really weird ass films that are really good. You got, if it's good, it's good.
Now, I believe Bruce Willis is in 12 Monkeys, and then they did a TV show of that, correct? Okay, I
Yeah,
just want to make, because I love Bruce Willis. Before the straight to DVDs of 100 movies that he's made, I still buy them when I see them at the local stores for like a buck or two, because is still kind of one of my favorite actors there. But okay, yep. When you said
Brad.
the 12 Monkeys, my brain went to the kids movie first, of where the circus train crashes and he finds monkeys. Summer of Monkeys. I don't know why, but like that's where my brain went. I'm like, that's not the same movie, obviously. But all right,
that
no one's gonna listen to this show ever again after me.
that show I think is based off the film.
Okay.
The 1995 film is what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Bruce Willis, Brad Pitt.
Yep. That was one of my early ones. I always liked Hudson Hawk with Bruce Willis. It's got that comedy / action. I believe it's called Public Enemies. That's one of my ones that I'll recommend when people ask for Bruce Willis movies, as well as he's not in it a lot, but Lucky Number 11. I don't know if you've ever seen that. That's got a nice little twist in it, as well as I can think of the other Bruce Willis movie. Crap. Talk about being a fan. I can't remember his movies. Yeah, Sixth Sense. I like M. Night Shyamalan. He's not everybody's cup of tea, but I just like having a little twist. And I feel like, I can try to figure it out throughout the movie. I'm always wrong, but, just like with podcasting and wrestling, I'm always wrong. But I enjoy just having a little bit of twist in things, because I want it to be not what it seems. For me, my movies are pretty basic. It's Jurassic Park, Avatar, Lion King. Those are my three that I can just sit down and watch all the time. I know they're not like masterpieces in any form, but those are my go-tos. But one movie that I do love recommending to people, I'll have to send it your way here, Christian, it's called Shattered. It's got Pierce Brosnan in it, and I can't think of the lead female in it, where their kid goes missing, and they're amidst some conflict in the relationship, and they're trying to work it out as they're trying to find their kid, and it's just a little fun little movie there. So we'll have to exchange movies, because I love films. So, but let's keep promoting that movie one more time here. Zach or Christian, you guys can fight over who wants to do that. Plug that podcast. Where can people find you? We're going to throw your links up this week, coming into your episode, as well as throughout the week before. But where can they find you? I'll let you guys fight over who wants to plug what here. So I'll let you fight between yourselves. My job's done.
I'll do the plug-in, and you can talk about the film more. You can find us on Instagram. Whoopass _crew is our Instagram. Our Facebook is Whoopass Podcast. I know we have a link tree, so it'll be a lot easier to find it. I gave it to you. You'll probably put it in.
I'll post that up. Yep.
We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Music, Apple Podcast. We also have our own website. It's on that link tree link. If you guys click it down below.
SouthboundProductions.com.
Southbound Production is Elijah's, or Christian. Sorry, he's got two different names. So if I call him Elijah, that's so. I do it all the time in our podcast. But Christian here, he's the Southbound owner. That's the production company we're going to be going with for the Whoopass, unless another company buys it, but that's a whole nother story. But
if you fire Zach, I'll hire him on. I need an extra co-host with a great beard. So, Christian, I'm sorry, you're going to have to put something there, or just wear a prosthetic till you get there. So, just kidding.
Yeah, that's where you can find us. So, Instagram, Facebook. We got a YouTube page. Oh, forgot about the YouTube.
I'll make sure to subscribe to that. If I'm not already subscribing, I want to follow everything and share everything. So Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Pod, and our website. I think I got it all. We have a TikTok, I think, but we haven't really used it very often. So Instagrams and Facebook are our two main. Okay.
Things, so, but yeah.
I'm sure if you just Google Whoopass, because we misspelled it on purpose. WUPASS, all caps. I'm sure if you Google that, it'll pop up.
Yeah, maybe.
But we also have our own personal accounts. You can find me on Instagram at Christian Conrad Writes, WRITES. Yes. Because I also write novels and everything.
Oh,
And
wow. Okay.
yeah, I've got 4 novels out. I've got
Hell
they're
yeah.
all urban fantasy, kind of like Supernatural, the TV show, meets Trailer Park Boys. I've got a whole metaphysical series called The Cosmic Cycle. And I'm going to be publishing. Actually, this is the first time I'm showing
Show it
this.
off, man.
Oh,
Put it out there.
Exclusive
I haven't
content.
showed this to anybody. I just ordered a proof copy of a book I'm writing called Shadows of the Damned.
Okay, cool.
It is a fantasy series, really inspired by I lived in Morocco, North Africa for 2 years.
All right.
So this girl is sort of a Islamic prophetess in a way. I'm not using Islam per se. I'm using different kind of religions, but it was definitely a huge inspiration. And that's probably going to be coming out very, very soon.
Very nice. Yeah. Yeah. Remind me, and I'll plug that on the wrestling page too. I know it's, nothing to do with that, but I mean, as soon as you said books, I mean, that's what I've been doing all, summer really. But yeah, we're going to talk off camera a little bit here, but sorry, Christian.
No problem. Like, yeah, I'd love to talk about the book. And Zach, I know he does pick feds stuff.
Mhm.
He's got his own account.
Oh yeah.
Plug that.
Yeah,
What
we
is
mentioned that in the Show Me Your Collection episode. A little
Oh,
teaser
right on.
there for maybe a future
Yep,
episode.
we're gonna have him on future episodes so we can dive into all those figures there. Yeah. So
Right on.
all right, boys. It's been a pleasure. Let's keep promoting this together. Hopefully we can help you get some gains and follows there, and more eyes on your product. I know we're small time, but we're looking at the big time here. Zach, I can't thank you enough for all of your, scheduling with me. Christian, thank you for coming on, guys. And I'm glad you are friends of the Squared Circle, and hopefully we can do more episodes together, which we'll talk about off camera here, Christian, because like I told Zach, I'm going to use these connections to my advantage for fun. But it is your boy, Crander Q. Crander Q out. Now I always struggle to pause it, so you get a little bonus here. Alrighty, in recording. Have fun, folks.